The American one has a silver top to it. So, just a little FYI there for you. Anyway, when I took this thing out, I drove it around the local streets for a little while, and then I took it on the freeway. And I drove it for about 15 minutes or so, and then the check engine light came on, so I brought it home and hooked up my scanner to it and found out that I have a P1706 check engine light code that came on. So I looked in my Honda service manual and found out that what that means is I have an open circuit error code on the gear selector on the actual transmission. Now you've got the shift cable and your shift handle inside the vehicle in the console, but the shift selector is down here with your neutral safety switch on the very back end of the transmission. And again, you get access to it by taking off the passenger side tire. There are 2 bolts that take off the cover, and then there's 2 bolts to take off the actual neutral safety switch or gear selector switch. So what happened with me was when the very first time I started this car, or tried to start this car after I got everything hooked up on the engine swap, was it didn't start, and I was pretty sure I had everything hooked up right. So I went to that neutral safety switch or gear selector and was messing around with it, taking it off and on, testing it. And then when I was turning the actual shaft, it has a opening in it like this. It looks like a fork. And you can stick a screwdriver and turn it like this to get it in the right spot. But you have to be careful, because if you turn on it too hard, it opens it up too much. And that's what I did. I found out that it actually opened that gap up too wide. So what I had to do was squeeze it down, and you want to you don't want to use a pair of pliers. You want to wrap like some paper towel or something around it so it doesn't get damaged. I used a really fine tooth pair of pliers to squeeze it back down, and then I used a digital. I'll show you here a digital. If I can find it. A digital caliper. And the digital caliper is what you use to measure. If I can get this damn thing open. To measure that bad boy right there measures the distance you need. Turn it on and show you how it works. So you need 6.1 millimeters of measurement on that shaft end that has the opening to it. And so you put this on there and you can measure it. Now you can do it by hand, but I have one of these. It's a lot more accurate and easier to use. I had to untighten that bolt there. So you can see as you do it, I had to get it to 6.1, which is basically right there. It's really, really tight. And you can see the gap is pretty small. And mine was, like 7.5 or 8 or something. So it wasn't working correctly and sending an error code to the engine. So I fixed that, got it down to 6.1, cleared the check engine light, and then I took it out for another spin here for about 30 minutes. Took it up on the freeway and locally around town. And voila, no check engine light so far. So I believe that solved that problem. So running great, shifting great, no more hard shifts in reverse, first or second. And definitely shift smooth. Had it on the freeway up to about 65, 70. Kicks down really well and very smooth. So I'm very, very happy about that. Now, the one minor problem I still have is inside the vehicle on the actual shift console. I took it apart. Right here, I have a solenoid that is apparently acting up because I can't get the car to shift out of park unless I release down here. There's a button you put your key in right there, and you push down on that, and then it releases the locking mechanism in the vehicle shift cable system to put it in gear. So right now, that is my last and final problem that I got to deal with. So there's a little tiny solenoid, I guess, that's inside that shift cable area in the middle console that I need to troubleshoot and figure out what that is. So basically what happens is you put on the brake and it sends electrical charge, opens up that solenoid, opens up the gear selector shifter in the console here, so you can actually push the button and put it into gear. And mine is malfunctioning. Not sure why. It worked fine before I put this engine in, but I don't know if I moved something around or somehow something got shorted out or something. So that's my last and final hurrah. Whoop, let's keep back of that something. On this car. Took my daughter for a spin in it tonight, and she definitely likes it. So that's a good thing. She can't wait to drive it. She's driven it before, but it's been a while since I started this engine swap. So there's the old engine right there with the old transmission. And basically the reason I did this was because this car had 279,000 miles on it. Well, 278,000 when I bought it, and from a friend of mine. And I knew it was having transmission problems, and about 3 months later it totally went out, blew up, seized up. I don't know what happened to it, but so I was looking at spending $1,000 for a remanufactured transmission, putting it in myself, and then I started doing a little research. I found, hey, I can get a JDM engine and a transmission for about the same price. So that's what I did. I decided to just take out the whole thing. So the way these cars are designed is the engine and transmission comes out the bottom. You jack it up, but I don't have a lift like most people who are backyard mechanics like me. So, and everyone that I watched on the videos before said, hey, it's way easier just to take out the engine and the transmission at the same time through the top. So that's what I did. When you do pull out the engine, you have to get it at you have to pull it up and then put it at a pretty good angle to get it out, because the transmission is a tight squeeze. You got about less than an inch on each side to get it out. So yeah, so tomorrow I'm gonna, hopefully if it doesn't rain here in Oregon, I'm going to wash this car and finish detailing the inside. I've got new floor mats, new carpet, and I'm gonna brush up the interior, make it really nice. So this thing should go for another 100,000 miles. Not sure if we'll have it that long, but at least it's got the potential to go another 100,000 before having to do anything major to it. And I did also, in addition to the engine and the transmission, I put a new catalytic converter on this thing, 2 new oxygen sensors, new hoses, new belts, new spark plugs, and then some suspension parts, new tie rods, control arm bushings, lower ball joints, and now it's run like a top and driving really nice. And the last thing I'm going to do is fix that shift solenoid in the console, put on some new tires, and I should be good to go. So for all of you thinking about doing this or in the middle of it, I hope this helps. Thanks. Bye.